The American president expressed his shock and sorrow and presented his condolences to the families of the victims. However, U.S. Defense Secretary Leon Panetta said the horrific incident should not accelerate the plan to withdraw the international forces from Afghanistan, despite the increasing opposition to the war inside the United States.
War is hell. These kinds of events and incidents are going to take place. They've taken place in any war. They're terrible events. This is not the first of those events, and it probably won't be the last.
In the early hours of Sunday morning on March 11th, the world woke up to a tragic news event, a massacre, the killing of civilians, women and children included, as funeral processions were held for the victims of the Panjwai district in Afghanistan. A candlelight vigil was also held in New York to pay respect to the innocent lives lost, their families and communities.
I read what had happened, and I tried to imagine how the neighbors and family members of the children who were killed and women who were killed must feel. I just felt I had to go somewhere and do something to say that all Americans are not monsters.
According to a new Washington Post ABC News poll, overall views of the war in Afghanistan are at an all-time low. 60% of Americans see the war as not worth its costs.
How much of our budget goes straight to the military, and so we have to cut off jobs and healthcare and education and housing here, and all this money is being spent instead on wars abroad.
And while the Pentagon said in a media briefing that the killings were, quote, tragic, it insisted it was an isolated incident. Many believe that's simply not the case.
This is really not an isolated act. We have been just horrible in our bombings.
Participants at the vigil also stressed that the people of Gaza and Palestinian territories should also be remembered.
I'm also coming because I recognize that the poor people of Gaza have recently suffered a horrible loss and bombing. I just think all the wars are destroying our lives.
The event has been put together by Afghans for Peace and other New York City-based people of conscience.
Similar vigils are being held simultaneously across America, in other states like California and Washington, as well as countries abroad like the UK and Canada.
While the Taliban has vowed revenge in the aftermath of the shooting rampage, the White House announced the shootings would not affect the schedule for U.S. troop withdrawal. Susan Modaris, Press TV, New York.